Yeah, absolutely. You should have all their information in terms of the packet. And if not, we'll find a way to make sure you get all their information. Absolutely. All right. So thank you, panel. Appreciate you guys. All right. So now we're going to bring up our next session, panel 2. It's going to be AI and workforce development. And so the moderator for that is Donna Ennis, my colleague. Super excited. We're both so busy. It's oftentimes we're both in the same room doing things. So super excited to see you. And we're going to bring in Jennifer Ryan. And then we're also going to bring up my new partner in crime, Dr. Renata Rawlings-Goss, who we are getting into all kind of new shenanigans together here on campus. So you're going to thoroughly enjoy this particular panel. So let's welcome them as they come up.
Thank you, Nakia. Let's see, Dr. Renata Rawlings-Goss, Aliisa Rosenthal, and Jennifer Ryan. So while they're coming up, I'm going to take some time and just give you their bios, because I think it's important for you to understand the scope and breadth of their expertise. Hi, I'm Donna Ennis. I am the co-director of the Georgia Artificial Intelligence in Manufacturing. It is a statewide project that we launched over 2 years ago to help implement, develop, and deploy innovation, AI for manufacturers in innovation and manufacturing. So we have over 40 partners working across the state, really focused on innovation on one hand, and then on the other hand is talent. And what is talent? Workforce. So our panel here today, you've heard a lot about AI. Our panel here today is to focus on this particular sector, which is workforce. And so we're going to stick to our conversation. It's going to be about workforce. Our questions is going to be about workforce. Hey, how you doing? Let's start with Dr. Renata Rawlings-Goss. Is currently the executive director of the South Big Data Innovation Hub, a 16-state federally funded center connecting industry, academia, and government around data, science, and AI innovation. She is also the director of strategic partnerships and principal research faculty at the Georgia Tech Institute for Data Engineering Science, as well as the founder of Good with Data, which runs the Data Career Academy for professionals looking to accelerate their careers with data. Aliisa Rosenthal, a distinguished sales leader with 20 years of experience in the high-tech industry, is at the forefront of AI and its impact on businesses. Currently, she holds the position of head of sales at OpenAI, a pioneering organization in the realm of artificial intelligence. She played a pivotal role in the development of ChatGPT Enterprise and ChatGPT Team, the business offerings for OpenAI. Jennifer Ryan is the co-founder and CEO of, is it Croux or Croux? Croux, an AI-powered platform that creates wealth opportunities for working-class Americans by connecting them with high-paying, flexible work in the hospitality industry. After encountering her own staffing challenges and retention issues while running Blue Route, a healthy, fast casual restaurant she founded in Birmingham, she joined forces with other industry veterans to launch Croux, grounded in the belief that the industry could better support its workforce through flexible scheduling, fast pay, health benefits, childcare, and more. These three ladies have such an illustrious background. I'm looking forward to talking with them about workforce. And as I said before, we're focused heavily on workforce in our work at AI and manufacturing. And you hear so much about, we're going to start with the elephant in the room, and that is you hear so much about AI taking away your jobs. I want to say to you guys first, as business owners, you have to think about workforce in several different ways. You have a workforce or will have a workforce. You are part of the workforce, and your customers have a workforce. So with that in mind, let's start with the elephant in the room about fear. Now, we recently saw a study that said 85 million jobs will be lost as a result of AI. Wow. But at the same time, 92 million will be created. So we know that we have positions in industry today that we didn't have even 10 years ago. So let's start with that, with this fear about AI, replacing workers with robots and other things. What can we do to ensure that we are augmenting operations and using AI to empower our workforce. So let's start with you, Aliisa.
Yeah, hello everyone, great to be here. I think, especially from the perspective of a small business, what's really exciting about AI is it gives you a massive advantage to compete with companies that have way more resources. So when you think about your own job, your own workforce, it gives you the ability to make them way more efficient and way more productive. We don't see AI replacing jobs, but making people much more effective at their job, taking a lot of the rote tasks, data input, administrative tasks, things that frankly no one really wants to spend their time doing and is not a massive value add, off your plate, so you can spend time being strategic, working with your customers, and doing things that really move the needle on your business. So especially for small businesses, we see this as really a superpower to compete with organizations much larger than yours who have massive workforces doing a lot of rote work. Now you can offload that, or I think someone before said outsource, I love that, outsource that to an AI tool and make your own employees and yourself much more productive and effective.
Renata? Thank you. So I think that because we work with a lot of companies in the center that we run, and I run a center for people trying to get into AI or data careers, I like to start with some things. The opportunity is there, the promise is there to offload tasks, but what does that actually mean when you leave this room? How do you do it? And there are some things AI is good at and some things it is patently not good at that you should not use it for. And in one of those ways is the way we see people use it most effectively is as an accelerator for experts. So I would not start with using AI to do something you don't know how to do. I think people do that all the time. We see that over and over again, where people say, I don't know anything about sales and marketing. I would love to have the AI do it. I don't have a sales and marketing person, so let me just go out, tell ChatGPT to do everything in that area. I don't know how to check it. I don't know how to vet it. I don't know where to send it. I don't know if it'll work. I don't know how to test it. I've never done it before. It's a mistake because you need to know how to tell it is giving you the right answer. And so the best thing that I tell people to do and that I do in a business is things I know well. I know what the output should look like. I know if it gave me crap or not because I've done it 1,000 times. And so if I do it 1,001 time and I let the AI do it, and it gives me something crappy that I know is bad because if I hired an intern, I wouldn't take it, I can throw it out and it's fine. Or I can change it to make it good. If it gives me something great, I can say, oh, all right, it's good at this. I will use it for this. I can keep it moving. So I do not think that it's something that you use to augment weaknesses. I think it is something that you use to accelerate strengths. And that's what I've seen actually work in industry more often. A lot of the accelerating weaknesses projects end up being abandoned because people don't know if they can trust it or not. There's other things that I think are really good for workforce. Summarizing is something we heard before, and I think that's a great time saver. If you read the same regulation every year, but it changes slightly year to year, because that's what government regulations love to do. They change their 90-page document a little bit. You gotta search through what is different. Summarizing is great for that because it's a document you've read before. You know what the highlights are, but you just need them to tell it to you not in 1,000 words, and that's a great way to save yourself some time. But so that fear is that you're saying that it's going to take away jobs. I think it won't take away so much as help you do things you know how to do well so that you can maybe learn something new that you don't know as well to be able to put into an AI system. Jennifer? Jennifer?
I run
Are you, microphone?
I run a restaurant by day. I have 4 employees, and I run a technology company by day.
When do you sleep?
Check, check, okay. The truth is that for a small business like mine, for a restaurant, for example, we were nervous, my guitar was nervous about what AI and digital technology meant for good?
Oh, Renata, give her your mic, and then we'll get another one. Yeah.
I can also just shout, but. Check, check, okay.
Yeah, that's better.
And so what we did actually was just have a conversation. I think that's the most important part about the technology piece is we're human, so we need to have some human interaction. And we level set on how we were going to use technology first. And that really helped people see not just the technology roadmap, why it was important for us to save money, save cycles, but also what that meant to help those people level up. And so my chef and GM now doesn't spend time doing regression models, not in his area of expertise, but can leverage the big data set we have to understand how weather, football games, school schedules, and other things impact our revenues every single day. And that's really hard for him to do in his day job, but he needs that information to be successful. And so that's where we've been able to utilize this amazing tool to power him and allow him to be more intelligent, make better decisions, and ultimately, he's bonused on how well he keeps in check labor costs and food costs. And that helps him do his job. And so now he's able to utilize that to work faster and run faster and work better every single day. That's an example, but it started with a conversation, and I really do think that it starts with that human interaction to start, to level set with your team to understand where you're going, and be really clear as a leader, whether or not you're a technologist by background. I am not. And so, but it was important for me to be in lockstep with the people who were doing a lot of the analyses, who were the people on the front lines, to make sure that the decisions we were making from a technology perspective were in line with who we wanted to be when we grew up, where we wanted to go. And that was really important for me to be at the helm, not outsource that to someone else.
I think that's an important point, because when we look at developing the workforce at Georgia A&M, we say we're looking at developing that pipeline from K to Gray. So you've got to start with K through 12, right? And then we even have baby boomers that are coming back into the marketplace. So that requires a shift in thinking, a shift in getting new skills. So what do you think the future workforce is actually going to look like? Let's start with, what do you think the future workforce is going to look like? With regard to using AI.
Yes, I think that there is a hybrid model where there's humans and technology working side by side. I'm hopeful and really optimistic that it means that we can spend time doing the things we humans love to do, spending it with the people we love, removing those rote, repeatable tasks from our day-to-day that aren't really contributing to intellectual development or, other things, the growth of us as humans. That's what I'm optimistic about. But I think, to Aliisa's point, I run a technology startup that we're 18 months old, and the only reason that we're able to go head-to-head with the big guys who are 10 years older than me and have raised hundreds of millions of dollars is because now AI powers every core process. Mm-hmm. And with 4 people, I can run side by side with these guys in the same race. That also gives me great optimism for small businesses, and never has small been more of an advantage, in my opinion, with the technology at our tail.
So before we go to Renata, how many of you in here make a product? Anybody make product? Make product, okay. So you're considered manufacturers. How many of you are just starting out in your business? Okay, great. So Renata, what do you think the future of the workforce is going to look like?
So I think that there's a mix. I love the baby boomers re-entering, because didn't I just say experts accelerating? And a lot of times people at the end of their career have a lot of expertise that is being in some ways lost, and AI is one way we can help accelerate and keep people in the workforce longer, because then you don't have to work full-time if you know how to accelerate what you used to do that would take a certain amount of hours and help in the not only doing the work, but in training the next generation. I think a lot more internships, apprenticeships will be necessary, because there's not sufficient pipelines, not that they're not exist, but they're not sufficient pipelines to teach all of the things that are new and how to adapt the old to the new. I think in that way, there can be more of a human connection, because I think you're going to have to be able to transfer expertise faster as things keep changing. So every year there's a new platform, every year there's a new software, every year there's a new industry, every year there's a new thing. And that wasn't a thing in human history for a long time. And so we are the bottleneck. We can't train people fast enough in an industry that just started last year, but can accelerate at AI pace, and you need millions of people to be able to fill all of those jobs. So in that sense, I think building a model of apprenticeships, of humans, teaching humans faster through AI is a realistic workforce challenge. I think sending people all the way, starting at K again, is not realistic if you have a year to change it.
Yeah. So at OpenAI, we talk a lot about the concept of an AI native workforce. And if you think about it, a lot of tools are adding AI into their functionality, and a lot of, we're taking existing processes and applying AI to them. I actually think that small businesses, I love what you said here, Jennifer, small businesses just starting out actually have an advantage right now because you don't have the legacy systems, you don't have the legacy software, you don't have these old, heavy processes that need to be updated. You can build a workforce that's AI native from the ground up. So just think through every process, every part of my business, how can I build this on top of AI to accelerate it and make it more efficient and more effective? I actually think this is a huge advantage, the ability to build this AI native workforce with AI native tooling out of the gate and not have to, these big companies we're watching trying to replace, you take a tool like, Epic systems in hospitals and try to replace that with AI, it's really hard. But if you're a small business, you can be nimble and quick, and you can rethink all these processes, and it's a massive advantage.
Can I piggyback on that for a second?
Please.
Maybe to reframe it for, again, a non-analytical or non-technical person coming into a role and now running an AI company. I just want to really underscore the tooling has level set it to allow anybody in this room to develop a company that can run just as fast as the incumbents. But the way I framed this with my CTO was very much how we're all building businesses. We're trying not to push products, we're trying to solve problems. And so to frame it more specifically, at Croux, we're a marketplace. We bring two sides together. Marketplaces have intrinsic, innate issues. Liquidity issues, supply and demand imbalances, trust and safety, scale. And so we actually utilized a product that we know well, and we built on the back of 4.0, and we looked at it from the lens of those problems. How could we utilize AI to automatically rebalance supply and demand? How could we automatically deploy our very manual go-to-market playbooks utilizing AI and deploy that marketing budget before a human can sense something is wrong? And so that predictive ability means that I don't have to wait for some lagging indicator to tell me something's amiss, but instead the AI can sound that alarm and say, are you ready for me to deploy this playbook automatically with this level of marketing budget to make sure that the supply demand in that market is correct? Yes, go, go.
It sounds just like a prompt, right? That's a prompt. And prompt engineer, that's one of the new, as I understand it, one of the new careers, prompt engineer. How many of you are tech companies in here? Okay, so good. All right, so we had a professor from Georgia Tech to give an overview of AI at one point. And he said that, at the end, he said people think that AI are going to replace jobs. No, people who are using AI are going to replace those who don't. And I changed it because I coach businesses, and subsequently, businesses that use AI are going to replace those that don't. And so with that, let's start with Renata. What are some, and I do want to make a comment about the K to gray, because I think what we're doing at Georgia AIM is building what we consider to be a resilient workforce. If it's AI today, what is it going to be 5 or 10 years from now? We don't know. So we want to be able to build your workforce that has the tools and understanding and knowledge to change as the market and society is changing. So with that, Renata, what are some of the challenges that you see in workforce and workforce development around AI?
Challenges are very similar to what we would call fast-paced moving fields. So when I started, I helped write the federal big data strategic plan. when it was President Obama. And so then it was big data, then it was data science, now it's AI, then it's cybersecurity, then it becomes Internet of Things, then it becomes, and so this is the challenge for each one of those cycles is always speed of learning. How quickly can we train people to be able to do it? It's always how does this new technology interface with legacy systems? How much of a, like you said, an ROI is there in changing that system? How much do you gain? How do you estimate how much you are going to gain by changing the systems? And so those are the skills that I try to focus on for people in this area. I focused on the skill of estimating the value of a technology to you. That's a skill. You have to, because there's 1,000 of them. You know, I focus on the skill of estimating how long it will take you to learn it, how much it will cost you to hire an expert if you don't wish to learn it, you know, how it will, what processes is this technology appropriate for, and what processes is it not appropriate for? Because there's always a trade-off in everything. Nothing is a silver bullet. If it tells you it's a silver bullet, it's just like the snake oil of old, you know? And so, you know, how do you know, but it's always good for something too. How do you know where that line is? So those are the skills I think are important in a fast-moving, ever-changing economy of technology. We've seen it over and over again, big companies, small companies. So if you can develop those skills, it'll serve you well over time instead of focusing on the tools. I feel the tools are the very last thing I teach people in my course because the tools will change, but the ability to evaluate tools will not.
That's a great point. And she rattled off a few things, Internet of Things, AI, you know, it just, you name it. We've gone through the cybersecurity, which has become market. So, you know, we just, you know, burgeoned and just grown and grown in terms of the different kinds of ways that people learn, how they learn, what they're learning. So, Aliisa, what do you think some of the challenges are around this?
Yeah, from my perspective, the biggest challenge right now I see is fear, is nervousness around using these tools. I think one of it is just, am I allowed to do this? You know, is my employer saying this is okay? What about my data? How's my data used? So a couple comments on that. You know, first thing I want to say is OpenAI on our business products does not train on any of your data. It's your data. I think there's a lot of nervousness and misconceptions about how data is managed that makes people nervous. The second thing I want to say is it starts at the top. It starts from you, the small business owner. And if you are comfortable with this and you make your employees comfortable with using AI, they will adopt it more quickly. Funny story on this, even at OpenAI, we went through this, you know, this transformation. When I first started about 2.5 years ago and I did my first set of performance reviews, there was a note at the top that said, no LLMs allowed. And I was like, oh man, you gotta be kidding me, I gotta do this all manually. Now, fast forward 2 years, at the top it says LLMs encouraged. And so that was even a sort of cultural journey we went through in OpenAI, which is a little meta. And so now we're helping other companies think through this. If you embrace it from the top, if the executives are using it, if the owners are using it, that will flow through to the rest of the workforce, and your workforce will feel comfortable using it as well. So right now, for me, the biggest day-to-day challenge and adoption I see in people using these systems is just nervousness. Is this okay? Am I allowed? And that starts with you all. It starts with the top.
Great. How about you, Jennifer?
Yeah, I'll piggyback on that one. I think as we start to roll out our AI army, what we're doing to demonstrate efficiency, productivity, to sort of counter the fear or the nervousness, a little bit of the anxiety, is to demonstrate progress. And so we can say we turned on Agent X at this day, and we're able to really, you know, understand what that's meant to the workforce beyond what the feeling is. I feel like I've saved some time this week, but we actually can quantify it. And so that's really been able to put that back in front of our workers to say, we've been able to take some of these tasks that we know aren't your favorite, that we know don't really tap into the brain power that you can bring to the table, and we've been able to really reduce that, if not remove it. That's been, it's really helped that cycle, and I think that's been encouraging. I think the other thing is that we think a lot about bringing two sides together. We think about matching, we think about bias. that can come into play. We create wealth opportunities for working class Americans by connecting them with low-skilled jobs. Any one of us could go pick up a shift at Croux without any training or education. But the reality is there is a group of workers that continues to be overlooked and underloved for a lot of reasons. It could be race, it could be gender, it could be their zip code. And so how do we use that and really understand, use it to our advantage in our modeling and ensure that we're providing equality, equal access, equal and easy access to opportunities? And that's been a really big conversation point in our company. How do we ensure that we remove the bias and we're intentional about how we're building those models? And we started from the ground up, and that's been really important, not just for us or our investors, but our community of workers.
So how how can you use AI to actually train the workforce? So let's give them some concrete, 1 or 2, 3 examples of when they leave here today, you can go and do X to help train use AI to train your workforce. Who wants to take that first? You want to go?
You can, again, I would say, start with a process you know well, and then go to ChatGPT and say, give me a list of steps to do this process. You can look at it and you can say if it's right or wrong because you know what you're doing, right? Then you can say, okay, give me a list of resources that help train people to do this process. It'll give you a list. Summarize those resources into a manual. Are there any video resources? And look at my process, edit it, make it yours, and say, this is my actual process. Give me a training process to do it. Then you go and you hire an intern, and you say, hey, this is what I would like you to do, and this is the training to do it. I'm actually going to do a short video on your phone of you doing it with the training. 5 minutes, 10 minutes, however long it takes you to do it. Give the video to the intern. The intern can follow you doing the training. They have the written training. They'll come back 80% trained. And you can get 10 interns instead of training them one by one. That's what I would do.
All right, now, see that, go. And I like the fact that you said hire an intern, because we want to make sure we get paid. All right, Jennifer?
For our workers at Croux, most of them are looking to fill low-skilled roles, so training is not necessarily essential, but if they want to level up, they're able to tap into the tools that we've got today, understanding what it might require to bartend, or perhaps better understand what it means to walk into a catering event. Do I serve from the left or to the right? Those are small things when you think about walking into a role that will allow someone who doesn't have that experience to feel really comfortable and to walk in and really crush that job, because that $28 an hour is mission critical for them and their bottom line. So really thinking through how to level up the workforce. One example for us has been, it's really blown my mind, but 70% of our workers are women. And the questions I get from our women workers always revolve around, how can I make sure that I don't mess up on that first shift? How can I ensure that I don't have the experience? I've never done this before. And you know what? AI has allowed us to empower them to ensure that they've got the tools and the necessary details to walk into a shift and feel really comfortable. And that has been really empowering for this group of women that otherwise may not feel comfortable walking into a new situation, even though they need to earn that cash.
Aliisa, do you have something to add in terms of
Yeah, so
some steps to train?
ChatGPT has a functionality called GPTs, which essentially are templates that you can upload your company's data into. So as an example, a really popular use case is to create an FAQs. You just upload all of your documentation, any internal FAQs, and then your employees have a great resource. What is our expense policy? What's our vacation policy? Or for us, on the sales team, we have a sales FAQ. So if you're on the phone with a customer and they ask you, how's your data encrypted, you can just type it into the GPT and get that answer really quickly. So it really helps on understanding knowledge, querying knowledge, finding that across disparate resources across your company.
Great. Okay, so I've been given the cue that I have a few more minutes, so I'd like to close by having each one of you give a piece of advice to the audience. I will start by saying, don't be afraid. Go ahead and jump in, and I think you've gotten a lot of here today that you can take back with you. Look at your entire workforce. Don't forget the K through 12, because they are our future workforce, and if you can help them, I'm here to advocate for them as well. So,
Yeah, I'll end this through an anecdote here, which is, what do you think the most common message sent to ChatGPT is? It's yo. So people, the first time they use it, they don't really know what to do with it. They just say yo. And, and people are just, I have this blank slate, what do I do with it, right? So this sounds like very trite advice, but just start using it. Try different types of queries. It really will blow your mind when you start to find ways that this can take work off your plate, analyze data, summarize, generate, ideate, innovate. There's so much you can do with it, and it's just a learning curve you have to get over, get beyond the yo, and start asking it tough questions, things you're wrestling with, problems you're trying to solve, and you'll find pretty quickly that it has massive utility. It's just not obvious in that very first empty blank slate screen.
Nada?
Yes, I would say definitely think about how it not only can help you getting over a learning curve, but I would also like to just point out that we've really talked a lot about generative AI, which is, the AI, I say it's trying for computers to emulate things humans do naturally well. So trying to emulate your eyes is computer vision. Trying to emulate your text and speech is generative AI and speech recognition. Trying to emulate touch is IoT and Internet of Things. Trying to emulate decision-making is machine learning. This is the different pieces. Trying to emulate our body is robotics. These are all pieces of AI. And so I would just think about it as there is the easiest to use and the one we're using the most right now is generative AI, which is the text speech, and we're used to Siri and things like that, which is talking. But there are other aspects of AI, like the person in the back with Countify, they're using computer vision, the eyes, right? Which is not the same as generative AI. So I would just caution against putting everything in one bucket. There are other types of things you can use if your business isn't primarily text. And then also thinking about how if you can use it, then it can translate into other people in your area. If you can think about how it can be useful, it's not an expert per se, it's a place where data can give you expertise. So don't discount your expertise and treat it as an external expert you cannot question. I think you validate and verify it, and it can be a huge accelerator in that way.
Awesome. Jennifer?
I'm just going to say it one more time, small is an advantage. I cannot tell you how mind-blown some of the venture capital firms that we've been talking to are with what we've been able to produce in a short amount of time, and it's because of artificial intelligence. So this can be your superpower. This can be that extra arrow in your quiver. Start small, and I'd really, really encourage you to frame it from the perspective of what problems are you facing today, or what problems have your incumbents not been able to tackle? That might be the place for you to start, to be able to think about things, approach those problems in a new way. Be the next generation of whatever you're building. Remember, not pushing product, we don't need to push AI on our workforce, but rather utilize it to solve problems and get your people around a table, help them ensure they see the problems too, and walk them through that roadmap so that they see the output, where they're saving time, where they're spending time on different things that really, again, tap into the brain power that they can bring to the table.
Awesome. And so as we transition to the next panel, we have a video that you're going to share, right? Okay. Thank you.